Hello there, welcome to another video. Uh, as always, we'd be helpful for you guys to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as comments for any videos you'd like to see us try to focus on in the future. Today's video will be speaking on the auction Vista available within Jigsaw's platform. With this auction Vista, you get to see the sort of orders and limit orders that occur visually on your ladder on like a chart basis. Know that this bars are not priced in a specific manner like ticks or volume. It's just priced in a few seconds. Let me get a pen. The offers, I have set up the colors that they are on the top side above. We'll have shades of lightening colors, the lightest color of pink indicating high volume. And for the offers, they're lightening from dark to a lighter color, a shade of blue, to indicate high orders below us relative to what you have in your ladder. For most cases and with most data feeds, you tend to see that you get only a limited set of depth shown. When you set up your auction Vista within your settings here, it will take whatever you have set as your market depth. So if you have a data feed that allows it, like rhythmic, you can set up to whatever amount of market depth you prefer. I tend to keep it at 30, as that gives me enough depth to see where generally the volatility will hit. Your color schemes can be set up through here. These are my set of colors, and I prefer to have the bars colored the same, so I'm not indicated by that color scheming affecting my biases. And so focusing more on the auction Vista, we have trade circles. These are delta based as to what side was most aggressive on these bubbles. If you see a predominantly blue bubble, based on my color scheme, it would mean that buyers were the most aggressive, as opposed to this one where more sellers became more aggressive in that section of orders. If I open up this so that I can see a more granular look at how the bar's been forming, this also gives you a look to see little micro ranges formed. We have this pivots of where buyers kicked in and where sellers kicked in. Once we get above that, we set up another new value areas. And in most cases, we are heading towards liquidity. The settings you can see within the upper left section of the auction Vista have as our delta chart. The delta chart shows us a cumulative delta from when you've had the price ladder opened. We can also go historically back to note that as far as today has gone, the delta has been heading higher and higher. And you can note that as well based on the price scale it has to its left, that we are in the 9,000s. So for sure today, buyers have been most aggressive. And then within the short term, sellers have tried to take over by hitting into the bids. We've had a lot of orders hitting into the bids through this little range. And if they cannot move prices in their favor, they become new trapped fuel for moves higher on the day. You can adjust how much space this cumulative delta takes by hovering near the right side underneath the price scale of the auction Vista and dragging up and down to adjust. Our volume chart has little volume bars for each of these little second markers. This allows us to show the crosshair, and note that on this specific second of time, there was a spike in volume, and delta spiked downwards as well. This helps you get an idea as to where significant nodes of volume had been occurring as the time went on. Our total depth chart. This sort of chart shows you a sort of imbalance within the market depth, as there are more sell volume above you, or sorry, sell limit orders above you. The depth shows that you have a bullish opportunity towards what these tend to be magnets. It seems to be counterintuitive to some, thinking that if this side is stacked more, that this should indicate more opportunities for sellers. But in actuality, that's just how the market tends to go. It gravitates toward higher nodes of stacked volume, as that is where they know they have a chance to fill in their orders. On the flip chart, the flip chart tends to show the pulling and stacking that occurs on the depth. As you see that we've had some buy orders here, and they've now been pulled away. This is showing that you have some bearish opportunities. If when prices start to go down, they might not be supported in. Each of these can be ticked on and off, and up to you how you want to set these up for yourself. If you'd like to have the auction Vista be on its own, separate from how the DOM is moving, there's an undock feature. So you can resize it to however you'd like it to be. This allows you to check through and see where depth can be resting without having to move through your ladder and without having to miss the current price action. The recenter button, once you have it detached, is up here, the same you'd find with the ladder. Our interval button next, interval tuning button next to it. This one allows for a new column of data to be printed at specific time intervals. Right now it's set to, of course, 1 second. If you want to, say, show a higher interval, let's place it at 10. It would take 10 seconds for each bar to form. If you want to use this on possibly more slower markets that aren't passing much movement within a small amount of time, this tends to be better to have higher settings on faster markets, say like treasuries, or if you keep it down to 1 second or fewer or close to 1 second for more faster markets like the NQ. So I think for the ES, you could probably set it to about 2, maybe 5 seconds. The next interval width is how wide these bars tend to be. So having them set to about a very thin segment makes it more easy to have more bars set, squished in together. But maybe sometimes you want to see a little bit more of the nuance within each little bar. So you can set them to be a little bit wider so that it takes up more space. Our circle tuner is based on the sort of algorithm that Jigsaw has developed for these formation of bubbles. A smaller number allows more bubbles to form, and a larger, of course, will set it so that less bubbles form. It's up to you how to set this for yourself, using in the moment how you like the information. Keeping it at a high number, you will see just very large orders. Somewhere in between seems to be all right. Our depth tuner to, I guess, tune out less significant depth. When you have it set to 1, you'll see all the levels of your depth, from 1 being the darkest, set within here. setting it higher will just set it so that you use less and less of those colors. If I were to set it to, let's say 5, it will use less the colors available that I have set up. So I tend to keep it just at 1 to see how I have all those colors set up, and I know this are lighter forms of volume being pulled away. And lastly is our depth scope. Setting it to 0 takes into account what you have set as the market depth of your ladder. If you set it to any number aside from 0, let's say to 10, it would only take into account the nearest 10 ticks from the best bid and asks. So you get more short-term levels of recent nearby limit orders. I, of course, prefer to set it at 0 and like to have my 30 levels of depth set up. So that's just how recent volatility tends to keep things set. The last thing you can set up as well is the order panel. This will let you see orders set within your depth ladder, set into a side little box here that you can open up. Another thing you as well can do if you want to trade around, say the depth, is you hold shift and you click on the depth, you'll be able to place orders that way as well. That is a quick rundown of the auction Vista, and we hope to see you in our next video. Please, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Put on your notification bell to know when our next videos come out, and we'll see you another time. Thank you.